Star Wars Empire at War Thrawn's Revenge 3.2 has been out for quite a while now, with new ships, balance changes, a new faction, and much more. There has been a ton of improvements and changes for this update, so we're going to try and encapsulate it all within one video for you to enjoy. So without any further ado, let's dive right into the video. Since there is a ton of content to cover, we're going to split the changes into separate sections for your convenience. First thing we'll do is we'll discuss the new cosmetic changes. All these ships you have on the screen right now have new death animations when they're destroyed. Some of them also have updated looks, which we'll get to a little bit later on in the video. In terms of other visual changes, soldiers have different bleeding colors depending on what faction they're in. So in ground battles, when humans die, they bleed red. When Vong die, they bleed black. And speaking of ground battles, there is a lot of new and interesting stuff designed to challenge and excite the player. A major part of the challenging and exciting nature of ground battle rework is the updated AI. The AI will attempt to hold strategic areas on the battlefield before rushing the player, and will overall play more tactically as opposed to setting all their units to attack move. I'll also quickly add the AI is now capable of retreating from battle when the defeat is clear. That's a massive requested feature from players, and it should take out some of the tediousness of a lot of ground battles. Not to mention, ground maps are also being redesigned in a non-linear fashion. You will have multiple paths to the objective as opposed to one long slog down the middle. There has also been quite a few changes to ground battle balance in this update as well. So if you're a veteran Empire at War player, I encourage you to pause and read through some of the small details yourself, as there's about 15 pages of patch notes here, and some of it will no doubt be interesting to new and old players alike. Moving on to space battles, we see a popular feature reintroduced to the game. Boarding enemy ships is once again possible. While boarding, both the boarding shuttle and the target are invulnerable, and once the target has been captured, it will hyperspace out of battle, finally bringing an end to the "I miss the boarding mechanic" comments I see very often. Arguably more popular than that is the major pathfinding improvements for ships, easily reducing the amount of micromanaging needed to hold an effective formation. The path predictor has also been removed to make the battle screen cleaner. Essentially what's happening is you're reducing the hitboxes of your allied ships. These were in place so that your ships wouldn't clip within one another, but as fleets get bigger and bigger and bigger in these games, it becomes a bit more annoying to try and frame your fleet in the right position. Moving on, the range of your weapons are now, get this, tied to what weapon you're using, as opposed to previously where your range was determined by what type of ship you were firing from. This makes things a lot easier to understand for newer players as well, as heavier guns fire further while lighter guns are more close range. However, accuracy is determined both by your weapon tier and your ship type. Dogfighting has gotten a significant amount of attention this update, making bombers more effective, increasing squadron launch time, and adding new anti-fighter weaponry. Smaller changes include updated icons and damage numbers for different types of bombs, as shown here, but on the opposite end of the space battle spectrum are the Super Star Destroyers. Aggressors equipped with super turbo lasers now cause AoE damage as well, which is a big buff. But to counteract that big buff, there is also a nerf. SSDs now have persistent damage, which tracks between battles. You can see this with some updated UI showing you the ship's hull and shield strength, and the ship will repair 10% of its hull each week at a cost of 5% of the ship's total value. Personally, I think this is a genius way to make the galaxy feel more alive, continuous, and consequential. It will also prevent players from just dumping their SSD into every battle, which was just pretty much a win condition each time. Now there is some repercussions if you barely get out of that fight alive. Moving on to everything newly patched into the game, we'll be getting a few changes to space skirmishes, above Mandalore, transitory twists, and the Void, along with two completely new maps titled Deep Core and Supremacy. New faction-specific upgrades are also available in skirmish mode as well, and speaking on faction-specific, there is also a new ship market space station where you can build a few random ships from any faction. The list of random ships refreshes each week for variety in your fleet. In terms of ground maps, feast your eyes on all the new planets waiting to be fought for in this new version of ground combat, along with 6 new ground skirmish maps as well. The list of new ships is extensive to say the least. The majority of the new ships are dedicated to the Empire, but all factions got shown some love in this update. Not to be outdone by new ground units, again an extensive list focused mostly on the Empire, but the Mandalorians and the Hapes Consortium also get new weapons to add to their arsenal. In total, there is almost 100 new units, so yeah, lots of new stuff. You will also see independent forces be better armed than before, as they now come to battle with a variety of vehicles and soldiers they didn't have before. Lastly, before we move on to any other major changes, here are a list of over 40 new heroes sprinkled throughout the game, so don't be surprised if you see a few new faces next time you boot up your game. Now we have saved the best till last. As the major changes in this update, you will also be able to play as the Hapes Consortium for the first time. Warlords have gotten a roster rework, and economy buildings, government mechanics, and influence have all been readjusted to make for a more unique experience for every faction. For example, in Fall of the Republic can gain command staff where the Sis is able to integrate for smaller sub-factions into their army. Legitimacy is also a new mechanic in Thrawn's Revenge, shared by all the Imperial Warlord factions. It is meant to represent the power vacuum struggle left after Palpatine's death. This mechanic is incentive to roleplay. Losing your top commanders will not look good on your forces and will lower your legitimacy. If you stoop to hiring bounty hunters, your legitimacy will fall even further. Rewards for being seen as a legitimate threat in the galaxy is the ability to integrate smaller factions into your forces, and you'll have a greater variety of commanders who are willing to fight for you. Influence has also been changed to be more consequential. You want to keep your influence on every planet you own above level 3, or else you risk a revolt, which is when you get 3 of those red fist icons which are appearing here. The consequences for a revolt are that all forces will be expelled from the planet and planetary allegiance changes to either another faction or they become independent and have their own forces defending their planet. There are quite a few ways to manage your influence, however, so be sure not to overlook this mechanic. The galaxy map UI itself has also gotten quality of life improvements, and a lot of them, ranging from more build slots to more holograms for you and faction leaders. And if I haven't mentioned it already, there are a plethora of improvements to go with this update, and I would encourage you to go back through and pause this video to read every little change for yourself. I promise it will be worth it. But with all the new, we also need to fix the old. The Hunt of the Warlord Zinj has been removed due to stability issues. Empires at War is also temporarily disabled, as are raid fleets in space battles. Furthermore, Phalanx Commandos, NR Infiltrators, and Rocket Scouts have been removed pending their coming reworks. But with all the content I just mentioned, they will return eventually. But for now, they're with the development team pending fixes. And that is pretty much a quick summary of all the things that have come to the new 3.2 update for Thrawn's Revenge. You can find the complete patch notes in the description down below. And of course, let me know if you like these really in-depth Star Wars Empire War videos. And if you've got any advice for these style of videos, let me know in the comments down below as well. But besides that, guys, I've been Charlie, you've been watching EcksToo, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, everyone.